We're just past the bottom of the hour. Let's turn back to politics, and the countdown is on to Iowa. The caucus is just 19 days away. This is the first contest of the Republican primary season, and the candidates are prepping for a big debate tonight in Iowa. This is the final face-off they'll have before the voters start weighing in that state. Newt Gingrich garnering a lot of headlines and support, but he's coming under fire from all of his rivals, but some of them are gaining ground as well. Take Ron Paul, who's basically tied with Mitt Romney for second in Iowa.
And one thing that's characteristic about our campaign is when people join our campaign, they rarely leave. They're real solid, determined supporters. They understand what the message is about, and they agree with that. So I think it's a very good sign. I think in political terms, it means that we're probably peaking at the right time.
And look at this group we have assembled today. CNN contributor Will Cain, as well as political analyst Roland, Martin. They are both with us now.
Showtime, baby.
Showtime, fellas. Good to see you both. You know what, Will? He's clearly fired up, so I'll start with you here. I'll let you take the first crack at it. Ron Paul, we thought Newt Gingrich was supposed to be the biggest threat to Mitt Romney. So does Mitt Romney now have two threats, two people he needs to go after that are a threat to him getting this nomination?
You mean Ron Paul, the Hotel California of politics? Like he just said, they check in, but they never leave?
Yeah.
Look, we know Ron Paul has a passionate following. He has 8 to 10% consistently, and these are people that hear his consistent, principled, logically consistent message, and that's held about 8 to 10%. So the question, TJ, is how do you go from 10 to 20? Well, the process of two things. That message has gained exposure, and some people appreciate it. But second, it's a process of attrition. So many of these candidates have been deemed rightly unacceptable, from Bachmann to Perry to Cain, and now Gingrich. And that's going to bleed over into Paul. You know, Romney's been the primary beneficiary, but some of that's going to go to Paul. And by the way, the last thing he said in that clip you played, his timing, he's exactly right. His timing is perfect because the spotlight shines bright on the leader. And look, Ron Paul's strong coffee. He's strong coffee. He's not going to settle well with everybody.
He's strong coffee. You got a better analogy than that, Roland?
Well, no, TJ, here's the problem. Congressman Ron Paul has always been here. The problem has been you've had far too many of these Washington, D.C. elites, all of these, the political chattering class, they've all said, oh, no, forget Ron Paul. I remember early on when these polls came out and Ron Paul finished second or third, people would talk about the person who finished first, third, and fourth, act as if Ron Paul didn't even exist. And so, you know, it's amazing. Just yesterday, you had Fox News' Chris Wallace basically dismiss Iowa by saying, well, if they vote for Ron Paul, that simply means nothing. No, this is the problem. People vote, not polls. Political people like us, we don't vote. Okay, we're not voting in Iowa. Let them make a choice and stop predicting who is going to be the nominee, who is going to be the winner. We're always going to be surprised when we play those games.
Let's move to this debate tonight. Speaking of, can anyone actually, Roland, you can take this one. Can anyone have a game changer tonight as long as there's not a major gaffe from Newt Gingrich or maybe from Ron Paul, maybe from Mitt Romney? I mean, are they kind of, going to hold on to those spots? Because like Will said, it's the timing just a few weeks away.
This is the 1,758th Republican debate this year. The reality is things can change. Let's go back to 2007. Senator Hillary Clinton at a debate where she flubbed the answer as related to driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. That was the opportunity that gave Senator Barack Obama an opportunity to step in, and the door was open. She looked invincible up until that point. So absolutely, we've seen in all of these debates what has happened to Congressman Michelle Bachmann, what has happened to Governor Rick Perry. In fact, the last debate, Mitt Romney did not do so well. So absolutely, now that more voters are paying attention to politics, the first caucus is a few weeks away. Absolutely, somebody can make a mistake and can open the door for somebody else.
So, Will, would you agree with that Newt Gingrich then, in that mindset, that mentality you're just hearing from Roland, does he just need to hold on, almost run out the clock tonight?
He'd like to do that, but I totally agree with Roland. We've been listening to strategists and inside Washington elites tell us for a long time that Ron Paul is not viable. We heard several months ago this was a two-man race between Romney and Cain. Now we hear it's a two-man race between Romney and Gingrich. And then, oh no, we got to talk about Ron Paul, apparently. This thing can keep changing. You know, we're not even talking about John Huntsman, who's polling third in New Hampshire, who's the most conservative man on the stage that people want to dismiss because he was working for the Obama administration, as the ambassador to China. This thing is long from over. We were doing stories a month ago, TJ, about why are these guys hanging out in here? Why hadn't Santorum gotten out of the race? I'll tell you why he hadn't gotten out of the race. Because this thing isn't settled. It's not a two-man race yet.
But on the issue of... go ahead, Roland. Go ahead, Roland.
There are 50 states. We should stop this nonsense that somehow this race is going to be over after Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. It's not. I certainly believe that this race will go through June. You're going to see shifts back and forth when it comes to the Northeast, the South, the Midwest, the West, the Southeast. And so it's going to be topsy-turvy. So let's go ahead and prepare for a 6-month battle and stop trying to say 4 states will determine what the other 46 states should do.
And you wrap it for me here, Will, in just a few seconds. You think it's going to be those main 4 states, or you think it's going to be a long race?
Well, this is kind of inside political talk here, but we also have this thing in the Republican primaries this year called proportional representation. It's not winner take all in many of these states, so it's going to make it, as Roland said, a fractured race for going long into the spring, I would say.
Why you have to complicate things with proportional representation, man? We had things were going just fine. You had to throw that at us. Will Cain,
sorry. 50 states voting for president.
Will Cain, Roland Martin, fellas, good to see you as always. I know I'll see you again.
Always, TJ.